So the Sony A74 has been out for a little while now, and it was first announced in late 2021, and if I remember correctly, it was released in December 2021, but it really wasn't readily available until 2022. And upon its release, it got a lot of praise. This was a successor to the wildly popular A7 III, and it definitely lived up to those expectations and even more. And well, I did buy the Sony A7 IV. I owned it, I used it for a few years, and it was an amazing camera. At that time, the best camera that I've ever used, and all the praise that it got, it's well worth it because it is definitely an amazing hybrid camera even to this day. But now, since it has been a few years and it looks like there's going to be the brand new version of it, the Sony A74 upcoming, and I don't think it's going to come out in 2024, probably early 2025 or mid 2025 is going to be my guess, because it's about time for a refresh, and Sony is constantly releasing new cameras, and this will be a very big release for them. And with every camera, there's always improvements that can be made, and so these are some of my things that, or wish lists, that I hope the Sony A74 camera has. And so this might not be important to you, or maybe it is, but these are the ones that I think Sony should add. So the first thing is stabilization. Now, the Sony A74 had really good stabilization and at times great stabilization. But the thing is, I came from a Panasonic camera, Panasonic G85, and honestly, it was not at that level. Even though I was using the dynamic stabilization, the active stabilization stuff, it still was not as good as the Panasonic cameras. And newer Sony cameras like the Sony A7R5 and the ZV-E1 does have better stabilization. So hopefully Sony would use that, or an improved version of that stabilization. So that's the first thing that I hope Sony adds. And then the other thing, and this might be something that I'm pretty sure they're gonna do, is basically have 4K 60 without a crop. And most cameras in this price range, they all have some type of crop at 4K 60 frames per second. So hopefully Sony can fix that and add it without a crop. That's gonna make a big difference. And then another thing is the readout speeds. So the readout speeds on this is slow. And so basically you get rolling shutter. So you get this jello effect whenever there is motion. And once again, cameras in this price range, it's not uncommon for them to have rolling shutter and slower readout speeds. And then some other features that I think would be nice to have in the A74 is real-time LUTs, LUT support in the camera. This is something that is available on other brands, but it's also available in other Sony cameras as well. So having the ability to have real-time LUTs in the camera would really help, especially if you have a look that you just want to bake in without having to do it in post. And then the other thing would help is basically having 4K 120 frames per second. This is something that is available in the Sony A7S III and other of their models, and it would be really great if the Sony A74 could do 120 frames per second at 4K. And also, I guess for some people, to have a higher resolution. I know Canon offers really high resolution at 8K. I don't know if that's something that most people use, but maybe a 5 to 6K, specifically OpenGate, like other brands offers, would be nice to have. So it gives you more options. And then I think it would be also really nice if this camera gave you the ability to have RAW support. I don't recall if there was RAW externally, but it would be nice if they had internally. And if it is external, make it easy to use. And so those are some of the things that I think that would help. And as I stated earlier, I did have the Sony A74, but I traded it in for a Panasonic S5 IIX full frame camera. And a lot of the things that I mentioned, the Panasonic S5 IIX has, things like the OpenGate 6K. It also has anamorphic support, and it has RAW support as well. And there are many other video specific features that the Panasonic S5 IIX has, but also it has some of the limitations like the Sony A74. It has a slower readout speed, and at the same time it also has a crop at 4K 60. And so there's definitely some limitations on my camera as well. But overall, I kind of feel Sony has an opportunity with the A74 to add a whole bunch of features and remain at the top of the camera hill. Now, whether or not I'm gonna get a Sony A74, probably not, because the Panasonic S5 IIX offers me everything I need, plus more, that we're missing in a Sony A74. But for all the people out there who love Sony, or maybe looking for another camera, if Sony could add these things and then some, it'd definitely make it one of the top cameras, if not the top camera, whenever it comes to a hybrid camera at this price range. So if you actually had any thoughts on this, be sure to leave it in the comments down below, and I'll see you on another episode. Hey geeks, if you are a brand new creator and you simply want something easy to get you started, well, I got something for you with my Creator Starter Kit. This is a super simple step-by-step guide that's going to take you from having no channel to developing your very first YouTube channel, along with ideas, thumbnail designs, and other creator tips, including marketing. And the best part is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and get started creating.